Coming up on the next episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
We bring you the unforgettable story behind the Pirate Toy Fund, a mission born from heartbreak that continues to bring comfort and joy to children every single day. The Pirate Toy Fund proves that love, community, and a single toy can truly make a world of difference. That inspiring conversation is coming up next on Zuzu, All Grown Up.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
You're now listening to Zuzu All Grown Up.
She's been featured in more than 20 films from the early days of film and television.
He is a psychotherapist and her loving husband.
Together, they are on a mission to brighten your day and your life.
It's a time to smile, a time to laugh, a time to expect more.
It's time to get inspired with your hosts, Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunell.
It's time to meet Zuzu, all grown up.
Do you believe that life is wonderful in principle, but for some reason just isn't so consistently in practice? Every life will have its ups and downs. But have you ever thought that if there were only more people around you encouraging, uplifting, and even inspiring you, then life would be more fulfilling? If only people like George and Mary Bailey were in your inner circle, then life could truly be wonderful all the time? If so, we've got good news for you, because you can find such people on this podcast and at ZuzuNetwork.com. This podcast is the vision of Karolyn Grimes, Zuzu, and Dr. Chris Brunell, illustrating how the timeless message of It's a Wonderful Life can be and is applied to our modern lives and situations. Indeed, when you take that message to heart, your life will become immeasurably more wonderful. Visit us at ZuzuNetwork.com and listen to this podcast series to learn more about how. Now sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy another episode of Zuzu, All Grown Up.
Get ready for miracles. Get ready for Zuzu, All Grown Up.
Today's guests have turned personal tragedy into a powerful legacy of love and generosity. Dave and Lorrie Simonetti are the founders of the Pirate Toy Fund, an organization that has delivered hundreds of thousands of toys to children facing illness, trauma, and hardship. Inspired by their daughter Christy, whose kindness and strength touched thousands during her battle with leukemia. The Pirate Toy Fund now serves over 100 organizations. Joining them is Otto Harnischfeger, a longtime board member and volunteer who brings firsthand stories of hope, healing, and the impact these toys have on children in crisis. Their work is nothing short of remarkable. Dave, Lorrie, Otto, welcome to the show. Karolyn, Dr. Chris, over to you.
I'm so happy today to be introducing some wonderful people who have helped in such a wonderful way. Dave and Lorrie Simonetti and Otto Harnischfeger. Dave and Lorrie, you want to start this off by telling us a little bit about how this fund started?
It goes back a few years prior to the actual inception of the organization. Our oldest daughter, Christy, came down with leukemia back in 1991. We were told she'd have 99% chance of total cure and she was going to be fine. You know, she went in the hospital and started with her treatments, but ultimately for her, it didn't go so well. You know, she relapsed a number of times. We got to a point where Christy was not going to make it anymore, and she was going to require a bone marrow transplant to have any chance to survive. We went on the TV, Lorrie and I and Christy, and we just pleaded to the community, this was in February, to come out and try and donate a specimen so that they could be potentially a donor for her bone marrow. This is where it started. We had no bone marrow drives ever done in Rochester before, and the Red Cross was going to do this with us. When we made the plea, we ended up, make a long story short, I think till this day, it's still the largest bone marrow drive in history. We had over 5,500 people come out, and it didn't pan out for Christy, and we knew that that was a chance, but it certainly was going to help somebody else. Lorrie ended up being Christy's donor, and so she did have the transplant in Seattle, and she did survive it and came back. From that time we asked for the bone marrow drive, that's when Rochester, who is an exceptional community here for giving, came out in droves to try and help this little girl, right, our daughter. And they put on all kinds of things to try and help her. They came out of the woodwork, the community, and we never forgot that. And then when we went to Seattle for our transplant for 4.5 months, the community didn't forget her. And every day they sent out the news channel with us, they would come back. And the community here never left Christy's side. For the whole time we were there, she would get tons of toys that were delivered to her every day, and games and gifts and cards. And she would love them, but she would always turn to Lorrie at the end of the day, and she would say, "Mom, give these to all the kids in the hospital." So she went out to Seattle with one little stuffed animal, and she came back from Seattle with one little stuffed animal. Everything else that was given to her, she gave away to all the other kids. And then when we came back to Rochester, the community again was so good to her. But her leukemia came back, and she passed away in January of 93. Prior to her passing away, when she was back in the hospital, there was a fellow in Rochester, Gary Smith, who was Gary the Happy Pirate. And he had a show that he and another fellow would do. They would be child entertainers, sing songs and et cetera, and put on shows for kids in the community. So he saw Christy in the news and came up and asked if he could meet her. And for that last month of life, the two of them formed a nice little bond, and so did Lorrie and I with Gary and Gary's wife. Very good people. After Christy passed, Lorrie and I knew that we all wanted to do something in return for the community for all they did for us. We knew that, based off of Christy, what it meant for those kids to see those toys in the hospital, how much it made them feel better no matter how bad their day was or what stage of treatment they were in. So we started the Pirate Toy Fund. And the first year we gave out 443 toys to the kids in the hospital that Christy was at, never thinking that we were going to be much more than that, except our focus was that kids are sick every day. So it was every day that we felt we needed to, give kids these toys, not just at Christmas time or a special time of the year. We started with the premise that we were going to be able to provide toys for the kids year round. Last year, we gave out 36,000 toys to the kids in the area. Over the last 28 years, we have gone from Lorrie and I and Gary and his wife, starting at the first year, to a board of 26 people, our new warehouse and offices, and community has just, for all of these years, been so supportive of what we do, even though it took a long time to get to where we are and to get recognized for what we do. For those who have ever benefited from the toys that were received in the hospital, absolutely became family to the organization. Now today, we give to 109 different organizations in our region that all are involved in the health and welfare of children from all different respects, not just a hospital, although that's our main focus. To this day, Lorrie and I can be someplace and they'll hear my name at a register when I give somebody a credit card, and somebody of older generation would say, "Geez, I recognize that name," and they would remember Christy and the story. So she was very instrumental in a lot of people's lives here in the community.
Well, thank you, first of all, for sharing that. Must have been an incredibly difficult time for you. It seems as though that you've been able to take that pain and suffering, turn it into something true legacy for her. She set the tone back there, giving her toys away. And here you are, all these years later, still doing the very same thing that she would have wanted.
This is what her life was meant to be. I don't know if this is just a selfish way of healing and dealing with it. I 100% believe that she was sent here for a reason, and maybe teach us all a little something about life that was important for us to learn. And then she was taken away. And I think things could have been different, right? She might have survived the cancer. She might have went on to live a life. But if that took place, would this have taken place? Just the other day, I think we both were crying for an hour and a half, just talking about it. And, it happens all the time. But I think she touched more people in her 7.5 years of life than we could ever touch. We're just her little hands down here.
Definitely.
You've been a longtime volunteer in the program. What has touched your heart about all of this?
I played Santa Claus years ago for the Pirate Toy Fund, and I'm talking maybe 22 years ago. And I went to the hospital. And this is where I was sold on the organization. There was a little girl that was in there who was so sick. But for one moment, that toy took her pain away. One moment it was about the toy. And even when I talk about it, I get goosebumps about it. And Lorrie, we have 3 board members that went through all this training and vaccinations. They go to the hospital twice a week to hand out toys to the kids that are sick. That's why I was sold on it. That's why I think it's so important, because that toy can heal anything. We have a program called Toys on Patrol, where every agency in Monroe County, law enforcement agency, has the toys in the trunk of their car. And to hear when they go to a domestic and there's a child involved, to hand them a toy, oh my God, it breaks down so many barriers. It makes feel like the child's not the end of the world to them. Put them in Monroe County Jail when a child has to go visit a loved one. They didn't want to be in that position, but it breaks down so many barriers for these children. And then we hear from the surgery centers that kids are a hard time to get on a table to have a procedure, but you put a toy on that table, they jump up there and they're ready to go. Do you remember what your favorite toy was when you were a kid? Mine was a Slinky. I broke it within seconds of having it, but I remember having it and what it meant to me when I got it. That's what we do here. We bring toys to kids, and especially we have a program called our Toy Giveaway. We partner with Monroe County, who has the list of kids that are in poverty, and they get an invitation only to come to the Blue Cross Arena, which is our big venue here in Rochester. They give us the venue for free, and we set it up like a winter wonderland. This is the one time we get to see firsthand, besides the hospital, what our toys do. And they come in, they see characters, they see Santa, there's arts and crafts and games and music, and they pick out any toy they want. You got to see their faces light up. It's priceless. Their status of life, they don't sometimes have that ability to do that, and we make it happen for them. And again, they feel so special because it's invitation only. They can only come because they get an invitation from the county. We have hundreds of volunteers that come out and help us do that. That's why we do what we do.
What is the date that you usually have it?
It's right after our toy drive. Our toy drive starts on Black Friday, right after Thanksgiving, and runs for 9 days. We don't have the exact date yet because the venue, if they have events there. So we work around their schedule and usually let us know in November. But once we have it, believe me, I'll make sure you guys get a hold of it. Holly gets it. And so if you guys are on vacation, you want to come see some snow and come to this, it's a great event, I'm telling you. One thing about our board members, they all got heart. They're all here because they believe in what we do. And our sponsors are the same way. They give us, revenue and stuff to help us operate because they believe in what we do and the power of that toy.
Many of the toys these children rely on during the school day are unavailable to parents and caregivers due to their cost. You really perform a service to people who really are not able to afford, the toys for their children. I'm sure the medical bills on these little sick children really mount tremendously, and it puts a squeeze on everyone's pocketbook.
We write a grant through Connective Federal Credit Union, which is kind of out of California. They took over Rochester. And with that grant money, we write field trips to other non-for-profit. We got 5 we're doing this month. And what we do is we bring bounce houses, we bring a hot dog cart, snow cone, and we bring toys. And again, it just helps us spread the wealth to other agencies that don't, like you just mentioned, don't have the funds to do that. And we're able to do that because of the people who support us.
So to each kid, it's involved in their life in a different way, but the result of it is that for pretty much that moment, it becomes their best friend, and it becomes something to take their mind off, things that are going on. And we were blessed in this community from the inception till today. Rochester, New York is almost annually the most giving community per capita in the United States.
You hear the feedback that we get from the parents and how it helped their child. That means a lot to us.
How many people now who are in their 30s and 40s come back and say, I was 9 when I was in the hospital and I got a toy and I've never forgotten it. And now they're supporters of ours because they actually were recipients of what we did many, many years ago to them, and they never forgot it.
Can you tell us about Toys on Patrol with law enforcement?
It started back in, I think it was 2011. Again, I'm a former police officer with the Rochester Police Department. And there was another board member we had on our team. He suggested that we started with Rochester Police Department. So what we did, put all our toys in bags. So the officer has an option. There was a local business here, Mayor's Paint and Hardware, donated all the toy boxes to go in the precincts. So they have toys there where an officer can take a bunch, throw them in the trunk of his car. It doesn't get dirty. They got books and stuff. But the whole purpose was reach children we don't normally reach. because sometimes they're not part of this, or they might be part of a certain program, or they don't get a toy from us. But it breaks down to another tool for an officer to break down barriers. When they go to a domestic, or parents might not like the officer, but the child gets a toy, that changes his perspective of what law enforcement does. We started with Rochester Police Department. Now we have every agency in Monroe County and the state police part of this program. And they all have options to put the toys in the trunk of their car. It's not mandated, but they can. And guess what? We got so much great feedback. I think we've given out almost 25,000 toys just with Toys on Patrol. We got great feedback. It's a great program. We love having it, and we're going to grow it.
So is there an age limit for children?
Sometimes we run out of infant toys and teen toys. Anybody who's sick, we try to give a toy. If there's a teenager in the hospital, we try to give them something. Lori can attest to that because she's there doing it on a daily basis. But those are the items that we usually run out of, and then we write grants for it. And sometimes we're short of, and we'll have to just go out and buy them because we just don't have them. But we don't want a kid to go without.
But we are finding a lot of the older kids there now. We're doing a lot of journaling. That's part of what the hospital child life department works with them with. So I'm doing a lot of journals and colored pencils and markers, ways for them to express themselves, their feelings. The older kids seem to enjoy having those tools.
We do have a huge book collection too, so we have a lot of things, Harry Potter books. We try to do that with younger kids, especially with Toys on Patrol, to put books in bags to promote, reading with the younger children and stuff. But we have board games that are more of a theme, or Pictionary and things of that nature, which a teen might get into more than having a Tonka truck.
I was just wondering if there's any follow-up, anything that goes beyond that.
We're bound by some HIPAA laws, so they don't allow us to have certain information to track somebody afterwards. So once they kind of leave the hospital, we don't know who they are and where they go and things of that nature.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
Start your morning right with premium coffee roasts available at ZuzuNetwork.com, and drink them in your Zuzu All Grown Up coffee mug. Also perfect for tea and hot chocolate.
Stay inspired throughout the day with the same gratitude journal used by Karolyn and Chris, and check out t-shirts, hats, books, Christmas keepsakes, and more at ZuzuNetwork.com/shop.
Join Zuzu's network today at ZuzuNetwork.com/join.
Karolyn is creating an international network of aspiring angels, everyday people who believe that they can help make the world a better place by making life better for even just one other person.
Let us know you want to earn your wings at ZuzuNetwork.com/join, and Karolyn and Chris will send you inspirational material to support you in your journey.
We're back with more Zuzu All Grown Up.
There's just that one event we do that we give out our toys firsthand, is that one with the county. Everything else is third-party review. We give them to an agency who gives it to the child. We love our program with the county because we get to see firsthand the expressions and the excitement of a child's face.
But we have had, look at that little girl who did the lemonade stand. She decided she wanted to do a lemonade stand to raise money and buy toys for the Pirate Toy Fund. She ended up getting in the paper because she was doing it diligently on weekends. And I think she raised $3,000. The community kind of took in, and she got people Venmoed money to her mom and dad. But this little girl went out and spent $3,000 and shopped, handpicked all these toys, came to us with them. And I, being in the hospital, I get a lot of parents who follow up. They donate toys afterwards. They'll ask me for information. They'll know who I am, whether they hear the name and they remember the story. We have a play deck, that's the Christy Simonetti play deck at the hospital that we did after Christy passed with the money that was raised through the community. We put it back there so they recognize the name. Or some people just know us through the community.
There was this mother who had cancer, and her husband had to stop working because he was the caregiver. And we got a third party that they just didn't have any money. So we had them come here and they shopped the toy fund. So they got enough toys for Christmas last year and the kid's birthday. She subsequently passed away. And her sister sent this email to us saying, "Thank you so much. You don't know what you meant for her," because she was so worried how she was going to supply for her kids, and to thank the Pirate Toy Fund for what we did in opening our doors to them. This email was very touching of what we did for that family.
A lot of times children would be scared, alone with their thoughts and feelings. And this is a way to connect with them and also to maybe have them open up a little bit.
That toy becomes their friend that they feel with, they share with, they play with. So you're right. You're 100% right with that.
Elaborate on that. And Lori, things have changed probably out where you are too with HIPAA and the way the hospital's restrictions today that weren't like they were back when Christy was in the hospital and such. Back then, it was kind of a free roaming place where you can go and you can talk and you can sit. When we were in the hospital for 2 years, there was a lot of little kids that were up there that families and parents couldn't be there for them. These kids would sit there alone, or they had the nurse take care of them. And I can't tell you how many nights we'd be there and Lorrie would be down the hall holding another baby because, there's nobody there for them. For many of the years when the Pirate Toy Fund was started, and she would go and give toys, during the day, she was able to do that. She was still able to, go in the rooms and talk with the kids and hang out and, while she's delivering the toys for the day and create those bonds.
Both the parents and the kids are really excited that I'm there. I might walk in when the doctors are just leaving or the doctors are outside the hall, so I know they're going in next to do whatever they need to do. But there's kids that I've sat and played cards with or played a game of Clue with, talk to the parents, maybe let the parents run and go downstairs and grab a cup of coffee. It's very well received when I come in the room. One of the things I've noticed more so recently, and I think it's because the Child Life is doing this journaling class with some of the older kids that are there. I was always concerned, like, I'm going to go in there. It's a 15-year-old boy. He's not going to want me coming in and bothering him with an Uno game, or he's not even going to want to talk to me. But since we've been doing this journaling and I've been more open about it, they'll talk to me a little bit. Like they'll actually put their phone down and they'll ask, or they'll say, I've heard about the Toy Fund. I've seen commercials. So what do you do there? There's a conversation. And then I usually end it with, when you have some free time and you'd ever like to come and be a volunteer. I think if you take the time to touch them and make them understand what the giving is, they like it. They get it. Even at the core of all of the teenagers, as self-centered as teenagers can be, they like it.
Can you tell us about types of grants that connect to Federal Credit Union to support children's field trips?
They give us money, which allows us to purchase bounce houses, pay for the hot dog cart, pay for the snow cone cart, and we bring toys to a venue of their choice. We do Camp Good Days and Special Times, which is a cancer camp. We've gone to Buffalo with Born Hava, which is also 5-year-olds and younger that have disabilities. And we put on this big, almost like carnival setting. And we couldn't do it without Connecta. We couldn't do it without their funds and allowing us to do that. And knowing that we do these field trips, they're so excited to be behind us. They've been so supportive. And again, they're based out of California. There was a company here called Exceed, and they purchased Exceed and they grew into the Northeast. And one of our board members actually works for Connecta, and he's a great resource for us and helping us navigate the paperwork and so-called red tape to get what we have to get done. But they've been with us now, 7 years, 8 years? They're supporting what we do. Actually, one of the directors of the foundation came to Rochester to see what we're all about, and they love what we do.
So what's an example of a field trip for a child?
Yeah, some of our program partners, like Daystar, they have their office out in, I think it's Brighton. So what we do is we go to their establishment, we'll set up a tent with tables and chairs, we'll bring a hot dog cart. Their little kids are disabilities, so we don't bring bounce houses to them, but we bring the snow cone and they bring stuff inside and see their faces. Lorrie usually sets up the table with all the toys to see them come pick out a toy at this event. So it's like bringing a carnival to them. It's like setting up, the Down syndrome we do in Mendon Ponds Park. So they rent a pavilion because they really don't have a home per se. We set up bounce houses in the park. We set up the hot dog cart. With that money, we go to these establishments. We make it like it's so much fun for the kids because they normally don't get to do this either. I mean, they're limited on their funds. They're limited on what they do. And the best part is the toys. The bounce houses are great, but at the end of the day, their faces light up when they can pick out whatever toy they want that's there. That's the priceless part. That's the part that we love accomplishing with them. And there's another program we do, TIPS. It's 3-4 times a year. It's with the inner city. We partner with Camp Good Days. And what it is, it tries to build rapport with law enforcement and the community. And we set up a table there and we give out free toys to the kids in that neighborhood. So they can come up and they can pick out whatever they want. This year we got like 3 items each one's getting. We got board games, we got little trinkets. That's another program we do with Camp Good Days to help kids in the inner city to see what we're about too.
So we never thought about day trips for going out to these organizations to help them. It wasn't even remotely thought, but over the years that things have grown, and look, we wouldn't be anything without the community and the support of the community.
That's for sure.
Every toy that we give away is donated to us through the community. So we're kind of like the community's toy chest. We take it in and we distribute it to really where it needs to go. This past year, we probably got a dozen calls from people out of state that have heard about us and would like to know if we can do something, and reluctantly have to tell them we can't, send stuff to Virginia or Florida. but our name is starting to get out there as to what we do. And we are and have grown to a little level now that we are starting to, as he mentioned, we're expanding a little bit out of our region. We're getting more and more supporters from the Buffalo or Syracuse area. And it's starting to feather out a little bit as we go because we're able to.
Chris, one of our big supporters is Mark Crane. He owns Mark's Pizzeria here in Rochester, New York. Every Christmas, he calls us. We go to Walmart. He spends $5,000 every Christmas for us to go shopping. And we've got one special cash register for us, and we got cart after cart. And that's one way we can go in and we see like we need infant toys, we'll go buy a bunch. But this guy's got a heart to go. During COVID, he helped us with marketing. And also during Christmas, he puts our toy boxes in all his pizzerias. And if you deliver a pizza and you got a toy, give the driver your toy. He'll bring it back for you. We're blessed to have people like that.
And they're blessed too.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
To find out more about the organization featured in today's episode or a previous episode and to learn more about how you can help, go to zuzunetwork.com/beanangel.
Remember, always be generous with the nutmeg. Just eyeball it.
Okay.
Mom's wisdom has served you well, but now it may be your turn to guide her.
Hey, I'm worried about Mom. She keeps forgetting her famous sweet potato pie recipe.
Some things come with age, sis.
And some don't.
Knowing the early signs of Alzheimer's in a loved one will help you make the best decisions for your family. Visit 10signs.org to learn the signs. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Have you heard? Affordable healthcare is better than ever. And right now there are more carriers and plans to choose from. If you're between 18 and 64 years old with a household income of $25,000 or less, this message is for you. Right now, the government's Affordable Care Act is available for individual and family health coverage plans with little to no cost to you. Don't gamble your health. Call Health Care for All. 70% of callers qualify for a zero-cost health care coverage. See if you are one of them. Call now. Our agents are standing by to help you get the health insurance plan you and your family needs and deserves. If you're uninsured or struggling to afford your current health insurance, help is just a phone call away. This is not Medicaid or Medicare. This is the marketplace with the largest selection of healthcare plans from the Affordable Care Act. To find a plan that's right for you, call 800-788-2406. That's 800-788-2406.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and don't have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you don't pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call if you've been injured in an auto accident. Call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312.
Auto Accident Help Desk.
Zuzu's book club features recommendations from Zuzu herself on books she loves and thinks you will love also. All of the books that the club reads, fiction and nonfiction, are inspirational and uplifting. Folks, this is a life-enhancing club to be part of. You can sign up for free at zuzunetwork.com/book club. That's zuzunetwork.com/book club.
This is Zuzu, all grown up.
I don't know how you could keep up with all the demand of all these toys. What toys do you get? How do you budget that?
We try to do when they call in an order, we try to get the age group, whatever their gender might be, and we try to fill that order to that request. Sometimes we can't fill it to exactly what they want, because we can't give all the good toys to one organization and then not to another. So we try to, give the wealth to everybody. They'll get some good stuff, medium stuff, but everything's brand new. We don't give away used stuff. We only deal with new toys, especially with the hospital. There are restrictions on what the kids can receive and not receive. We've been doing it now. We're almost 30 years strong. We started in 1995. And I'll tell you what, we haven't missed a beat. The orders come in, we fill the orders. So you got to see the letters on the wall, the accolades that we get from the people we donate to, just thanking us for helping them help the kids. That's the part we love.
We have a toy drive Otto mentioned early in the conversation. It takes place the beginning of December, right after Thanksgiving. We have 9 days where we actually have a community toy drive where we really pump out the promotion of people coming and donating toys. So we have Wegmans stores, the malls, and then we go out and for 9 days, we're in different locations where people can drop off toys. But bottom line is, during that time, which we call our toy drive, we'll bring in probably around 23,000 toys in that 2 weeks from our community. And then we have a toy sort where we have like 75 or 80 volunteers that go to a local place that is a great supporter of ours, Corrigan Moving. We have 80 people just sorting toys, 2 tractor trailers probably full, and they're all sorted there as to age groups. Mm-hmm. So when they come back here, they go on our shelves as to infants, toddlers, whatever. They're all categorized. So when Lori or Otto's daughter and group go back there to pull orders, they just walk down, we need 5 of these, 10 of these, fill the orders, and people come and pick them up. They used to work a lot harder at it than now we've kind of learned and evolved. We have a lot of great people on our board and volunteers that make us work. And without them, we wouldn't be here.
Have you had requests like household goods and dishes?
Well, we get some things donated like clothes and blankets, and we get some toiletries that are donated to us, but we give those to another program partner that deals with women and battered women and children and stuff. So we get them in. We don't get requests for them, but people will donate them to us, but we find a home that they need it more than we need it. So we give those automatically to like Bavona, which helps children and families and women who are going through those kind of situations. And they're so grateful. They really are.
I could just see that you've grown so fast, so big, such a demand that I could see how boundaries might, get a little blurry because there's needs for lots of different things.
Our mission is toys. We really don't deviate from that. We just try to do better at what we do, but it's all about the toy.
We do a golf tournament every year, the Christy Simonetti Classic. And I'll tell you what, we sold out the afternoon, we sold out the morning flight. I don't know if there's any golf course that sells out 2 flights for the organization because people believe in what we do. And the funds from there helps us with buying toys that we're short of and buying things that we need. And again, operational cost, of course, but it's a huge success. It really is.
So if anyone today would like to learn more about your story and how to support your efforts, how would they contact you?
They go to piratetoyfund.org. They'll see the webpage. They could see a volunteer page. They could see a donation page. That's the way to get a hold of us. There's a phone number there. If you can't get through anything there, please call the office or somebody here 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And believe me, we can use the help in all avenues and aspects of what we do.
I feel Christy's presence.
I never got to meet her, but you're right. You do feel her presence. You feel when people talk about it and you see the events we do in memory of her, like our golf tournament. The Simonetti family, I tell you what, they're phenomenal. And Dave's a little bit shy, but him and his brothers they own a construction company. They did almost 100% of the work here in this building and didn't charge us for all the renovations. That goes to show you how people believe, his brothers and them believe in what we do. Family members come from all over the country to golf in our golf tournament to support the cause. That says a lot about a little girl. It really does. Dave mentioned earlier, we couldn't do this alone. It's about the people who believe in us. It's about the community that believes in us. And we never let them down. We're there when they need us. And that's what makes it work.
Dave, you had said that sometimes things happen that we just can't really understand why she had to leave us so short with this very short life, but it's like God's will. It's through the pains of loss, like losing Christy, that affects people for generations to come, actually.
Talking about legacies, I have to just share this personal note. You're right about that. Part of moving forward after the loss of our daughter was continuing her mission. When you talk about God's plan, I think of it as her mission. This was her assignment. She was diligent. We all saint people when we lose them, but she was pretty special, making her list. And she would notice kids in hallways and she would be so specific. Mom, take this toy to Jay. When this all came about, that, and fast forwarding to me bringing toys to the hospital, I do walk in that hospital and feel her presence. I do, when I go into that room and I see that child in the bed, I relate to that. I relate to that mother, that father, that child. And not all of those kids are there suffering with cancer, other health issues, and, mental illness, all kinds of things, reasons these children are in the hospital. I've been on boards, other boards in our community, and they're all wonderful. But the Pirate Toy Fund, it's spectacular how it's touched with family. Everybody's gung-ho and happy and love what we do. We even have a little grandson now who is a junior board. He really believes that Pirate Toy Fund is here because of him. I see him down the road and his little sisters. My daughter's on the board and she's gung-ho with it. Nieces and nephews work at events. It's been generations we're seeing. And Otto, he doesn't take enough credit. He's a force to be reckoned with, and God had picked him in this organization.
Just to touch on a little bit of what Lorrie was saying too, there was a special reason, we don't know what it is, that this all took place, but we've kept her alive every day in our family, in our life, in our home. So our kids, our grandkids and such grow up thinking that I have an Aunt Christy, they're 3 and 4 years old, but they talk about Aunt Christy like she's here. She's been gone for 30 years. What we're hoping to build here is something that would continue long past.
Thank you so much for being our guest today here. We feel our presence in all that you're doing, and may you have many more years of success.
And thank you for having us.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you both.
Thank you. And remember, every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
What an incredible and deeply moving conversation. A heartfelt thank you for sharing Christy's story and for showing us how the spirit of one child can create a lasting ripple of joy, healing, and hope.
Do you know someone who is earning their wings? Someone practicing kindness and service to others? Perhaps an organization or initiative helping make the world we live in a kinder, sweeter place.
Or maybe you've witnessed the miraculous, the divine, the magnificent in some way in your life, and you'd like to share it with others. Go to zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory and let us know more.
You may end up being featured on an upcoming episode of Zuzu All Grown Up. That's zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory. Now here's Seth Kennedy with today's parting thoughts.
The story of the Pirate Toy Fund is proof that even in the wake of grief, we can choose to create something beautiful. Christy's short life continues to inspire acts of love decades later through every toy given, every smile sparked, and every child reminded that they matter. Whether you're donating, volunteering, or simply being present for someone else in need, never underestimate the power of showing up with kindness. It could be the very thing that gives someone hope. I'm Seth Kennedy, and you've been listening to Zuzu All Grown Up.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
We hope you've been inspired to live your most wonderful life now and to help those around you do the same.
Remember, no matter what you're going through, no matter who you are, there are people who care about you, and your life makes a difference.
It is a wonderful life.
Check out zuzunetwork.com for more on today's and other episodes, including transcripts and merchandise you won't want to be without.
New episodes are coming soon.
For transcripts of today's broadcast, go to zuzunetwork.com/transcripts.
Watch a video clip of today's episode at www.instagram.com/Zuzu All Grown Up. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu All Grown Up. Then click on the Reels tab from the top of the center of the page. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at www.instagram.com/Zuzu All Grown Up. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu All Grown Up. Catch up on past episodes and discover currently premiering and upcoming episodes as well, and get helpful links and exclusive clips from our recordings. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu All Grown Up.
Zuzu All Grown Up with your hosts Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunell.
Announcer and guide Seth Kennedy.
Executive producer Kevin R. Stillmock.
Coordinating producer Holly Ann Way.
Technical producer Stella Joelle.
Managing producer Karina Filatova. A Wonderful Land production.
In collaboration with Radio Wonderful.